Alright guys, in the last video we scratched the surface on creating elements and adding them to the DOM. And there's two main methods for that. One is create element, which allows us to do just that, and then also append child, which will allow us to append whatever we want to any element that we want. Now in this video I want to get more deeper into that and show you how we can create a function to add a new list item to this shopping list. And it has to include not only the title of the item, but also the button. This is a button that has an icon within it. So it has to be the title and then the button, and then also this I tag along with these classes. And I'm going to show you two ways to do it. One is kind of a quick and dirty way of doing it, which is using inner HTML. And the second is a cleaner and more performant way of doing it, where you're creating all your elements, not only the LI, but also the button and the I tag here. All right. So, and I'm not saying using inner HTML and doing it the quick and dirty way is horrible. It's not. You see it all the time, but there is a better way to do it. So ultimately, we want to have a function, which I'll run down here, called create list item, and we want to be able to pass in whatever we want, like let's say eggs. All right, so let's create the quick and dirty way first. So we'll say function create list item. It's going to take in an item. Now at the very least you have to create your li element, right? I can't do this. I can't say li and set that to a string of, let's say, li, add our li tags here, and then put in, actually we would use backticks here, right, because we want to put our item in here. Okay, so we just have a string with list items and the item, and then I want to append that to the unordered list. So I would say document dot, and then we'll use query selector to get the UL. We could do UL, but it has a class of items, so that's more specific. And then we can do append child, and if I put the li variable in here, which is this string, let's see what happens. And this is what messes a lot of people up in the beginning. It says failed to execute append child on node because the parameter 1 is not the type of node. Okay, what I passed in here, this li, is not a node, it's simply a string. So this has to be a node, meaning we have to actually create the element node. And we do that with create element. So we want to pass in here li. Now, the easy thing to do here, the cheap thing to do, is to just take li and then set the inner HTML of that to a string or a template string. And then I could just copy like all of this, everything inside one of these li tags, and then replace apples with whatever that item is. All right, if I save that, let's see, create element. Oh, I forgot document. All right, so now if we look at the list, you see eggs has now been added. So we created an li element node, and then we just said, well, we want the inner HTML to be this, and then we simply appended that li node. So next I'm going to show you a better way of doing this, a cleaner way, and that is to create all of the elements, not just the li, but also the button, also the I tag here, and add the classes. So let's call this something different so that we can run both. We'll just say create. We'll say create new item instead of create list item, and it's going to take in an item, and let's just call that down here. So we'll pass in, say, cheese, and we're going to call create new item. All right, now to start off here, it's going to start off the same. We need to create our list item. All right, so we'll say document dot create element, and we're going to create our list item. Now we also have a button and an icon, so let's create the button as well. We'll say button equals document dot create element, and we're going to create a button. All right, and then that button has classes, so we can say button dot class name, and set that to a string of classes, which are going to be these. So we'll grab those and paste those in. And we should be able to console log here if we want the button just to see. So we have a button with classes on it, right? Now we also want an icon. So let's say const icon and set that to document.create element, and that's going to just be an I tag. And then that also has classes on it. So we'll say I.className and set that to, let's see, these two classes right here. So we get the X mark. All right, so we're setting that. I'm sorry, that should be icon. I was wondering why it was white. So now, oh, and one thing I forgot to do is the text. The text for the li is going to be a text node, right? So we're creating the li element, we're creating the text node, we're creating the button element, and we're creating the icon element instead of just setting the inner HTML to whatever. So for the text node, we'll just take the list item and then append. We're going to append child because the text node goes inside of it. And then we can say document.create text node. We could put this in a variable if you wanted to. And the text node is just going to be whatever the item that's passed in here. All right. So now we need to put the icon, right? The I tag needs to be appended inside of the button. So we can just say button.append child. And we're going to pass in here the icon. And then the button needs to go inside the list item, right? We have the list item, the button will be appended inside that. So let's say list item dot append child, and we want to pass in the button. All right, and if we do a console log right now of the list item, well, actually, let's look at the inner HTML. Inner HTML of the list item, and that's the text node. Then we have the button with the classes, and then the I tag with the classes. So the only thing left to do now is to append that to the DOM, to the UL, which is what we did at the end right here. So let's just paste that in and save, and now you see cheese is added. Now, is this a huge deal in this situation? No, it's not. Just know that using inner HTML, so using this first method, causes the web browser to reparse and recreate all the DOM nodes inside the UL element. So this is less efficient than creating new elements and appending them. So the second way is going to be more performant. Also, setting inner HTML will not automatically reattach event handlers to the new elements it creates. So you would have to keep track of them manually. I know we haven't gotten into events yet, but it can cause some issues with attaching event handlers. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is a horrible way of doing it, and you will see this quite a bit. All right, now in the next video, I want to take it a step further, and instead of having just a single function, I want to create a separate function for creating the button and creating the icon, making it pretty reusable if you want to create other buttons and icons, and also just making it more readable.